Welcome once again to another Chef Knives to Go quick look product review. I'm Steve Gamache, and what we have is a Kurouchi line under the Yahiko brand that Mark brought in. So this is the Shitogami white paper number 2 Kurouchi Gyuto 210mm knife. So the core steel is reactive high carbon steel from Hitachi, and the heat treat's about 61 to 62 Rockwell on that core steel. They do these by feel and eye, so this is not a scientific measurement necessarily, but it's kind of what they shoot for. The construction is 3 layers, so there's a soft stainless cladding on either side of that core steel, and that cladding does have a Kurouchi protective finish on it. The cladding is stainless, but on using the Nishiji knives, it can stain a little bit, so it's not like 100% stainless, so you might get a little bit of light staining on it, which you could always clean up if you wanted to. The weight and dimensions on these knives will vary just a little bit from knife to knife. So this particular one's 159 grams or 5.6 ounces. The edge length on these is pretty consistently around the 215 range, so it's a little bit oversized, 210 from the heel, the chin, the back of the heel to the tip. Overall length about 350 millimeters or 13.8. And these are pretty thick coming out of the handle, and then they thin up and then get really thin with the grind towards the tip. And they're ground thin at the edge too, so performance is really, really good on these. Even though they're fairly thick at the spine. What that does give you is a very confident, inspiring power and feel because they're quite stiff. So about 4 millimeters coming right out of the handle, and then about halfway down I measured, it's about 2.3. These are a little thicker than the equivalent Nishiji knives that I sampled, and then you can see it gets really skinny right at the tip. So the tip performance is top notch on these, even though they don't have a lot of taper to them. Blade height is about 46.6 at the heel on this. And then handle type is a basic octagonal hoe wood with buffalo horn ferrule, but it's very well executed. Nice fit and finish. All but one of these, I've sampled 6 of them, and all but one of them has been really quite smooth here at that ferrule wood junction. So nice fit and finish. Tight handle install at the tang. And then the handle is pretty standard, like 75, 76 millimeters, 3 inches in circumference where the ferrule meets the wood. So pretty standard size for this type of knife. The handles are light and they're not too long, so that brings up the balance point a bit. And this blade's a little, it's got some fair mass to it, so that brings the balance point up there. Just behind the kanji, and that's a little in front of a pinch grip for me. If you've got bigger hands, it might be right on the money for you. That does give you a little bit of chopping power, some mass to it, so some confident, cutting power to the knife. Let's look at the fit and finish. It's really well done. They've got a nice quality job on the fit and finish, the details, the grind, the profile. So they've taken the time to really do these right. And so there's hand-chiseled kanji, which is covered a little bit by the Kurouchi finish. The finish is fairly smooth. It's got a little bit of a mottled effect to it. It's not as texturized as the Nishiji finish on that other line. See if we can kind of get a little closer here. So that should give you a pretty good look at it. So I have no idea of the actual wear qualities on the Kurouchi, but it looks to me like it might be fairly wear resistant, but again, that's not an authoritative answer because I haven't really used these. So, but it looks like it's a pretty nice Kurouchi finish. It could wear off fast, could wear for years. I don't know, but it looks nice anyway. How's that? You've got a frosted blade road where the grind is down into the core steel, and these had about a 6 out of 10 edge on them. They had a pretty nice edge out of the box, and the spine is polished underneath the Kurouchi. It's rounded and polished. And relieved, and so is the choil. So these are very comfortable. As I said, they're straight. Blade roads are ground nicely. Profiles are excellent. The Nishiji version of this, and these are quite similar, just destroyed onions, and it was just great in the middle part of the blade, the back part of the blade. The tip's very thin, so this should perform the same way. Wedging should be pretty low. The Nishiji showed just slightly better food release than the Kurouchi, but they're pretty similar. Food release is good, although the Nishiji finish is just a little bit better. So here's the profile. All 4 profiles on these 4 Gyutos I've had have been really smooth, just butter smooth, no dips, no bumps. And they have a nice flat section towards the back of the heel, at least 40% of the blade. But yeah, they have a gentle curve towards the tip, and yet even though that's not super aggressive, you can rock them pretty high. So they're real smooth. They flow into a stop, but it's not an abrupt jolting stop at the heel. So just one of the nicer profiles I've used for lots of different techniques. And they've all been very, very similar. So you've got a lot of good consistency between 4 samples I've seen, which is an excellent attribute, or I should say tribute to the maker on these and the consistency of their production and their craftsmanship. So here you have a very well executed Kuta-uchi knife with stainless cladding, high performance, stiff blade, just a nice piece of handcrafted, really art. So there you go. This is the Yahiko Shitogami No. 2 Kuta-uchi Gyuto 210mm knife.